Every parent who loves the church quietly fears the same thing, that one day their child will walk away and never come back. But whether they stay isn't decided in their teenage years. It's shaped in small moments most families never even notice. My name is Elijah Holloway, and I raised my own children in the faith, then watched them raise theirs. If you'd like the wisdom that only comes from living it, subscribe. That's exactly what I share here. So let me show you. Now come and sit with me a while. I am an old man, and old men do not hurry. What I have to give you was not learned in any classroom, and it was not read out of any manual. It was learned slow, over long years, in a house full of children and a church full of souls, watching some hold fast and watching others let go. And I have lived long enough now to tell you the truth of it. Plain. There is a fear that lives quiet in the heart of every believing parent. You may never say it out loud. You may not say it even to your own husband, your own wife. But it is there, in the still hours, when the house has gone quiet and you are lying awake, the fear that you will pour your whole life into raising a child in the faith, and that one day that child will grow and walk out the door and never darken the doors of the church house again. I have felt that fear myself. I know its weight upon a heart, but hear me, beloved. Whether your child holds fast or whether your child wanders is not settled in the storms of their teenage years, the way most folks believe. It is not decided in one great argument at the supper table when they are 17 and slamming a door. No, it is shaped long before that, in 1,000 small moments most families never even notice are happening at all. And that, my friend, is both the hard word and the good word. Hard, because the work begins sooner than you thought. But good, oh, good, because the work is made of small things. Small, ordinary, daily things that any parent, in any house, with any income, can begin this very day. So let me show you the first of them, for it is the ground all the rest is built upon, and it is this. Your children are not listening to what you say about God, near so much as they are watching what you do with God. A child can sit in the pew every Sunday of his life. He can learn every verse, sing every hymn, say every prayer by heart. And still, if he goes home and watches a mother and father who wear the faith like a Sunday coat put on at the church door and hung up the moment they walk back into the house, that child learns the deepest lesson of all. He learns that it is not real. He learns that faith is a performance for other people, and not a life lived before a living God. Do not hear me wrong. I am not telling you to be perfect. There is no perfect parent, and a child raised by folks pretending to be perfect will run from that house faster than any other. What I am telling you is to be true. Let your children see you pray when no one is looking. Let them catch you on your knees. Let them see you open the Word not because it is Sunday, but because your soul is hungry on a Tuesday. Let them see you struggle and doubt and come back. For a child who watches his parents wrestle honestly with God and hold on that child learns that the faith can bear the full weight of a real human life. And that is a lesson no sermon can preach. Now, that true and living faith at home makes room for something most religious houses are afraid of. And I want to talk to you about it plain, because it has cost more churches their children than almost anything else I know. Let me pause here for just a moment. A long life gives you more than any one video could ever hold. The lessons my own folks handed down to me, the ones I learned the hard way, raising a family of my own, I finally sat down and put all of it into a book. Start to finish, laid out plain. Simple life lessons that stand the test of time, the kind of wisdom that only comes from living it. The link is pinned right at the top of the comments. That's the whole of it, in one place, no need to go hunting through videos to find it. Take it or leave it. Now, let's get back to it. The thing so many faithful homes are afraid of is a child's questions. A boy comes home from school and he says, "Papa, how do I know any of this is even true?" And the fearful parent hears rebellion in that. He hears a threat, and he shuts it down hard. Don't you question the things of God in this house? Beloved, hear me, for this is one of the great mistakes, and I have watched it drive tender-hearted children clean out of the faith. When you punish a child for asking, you do not stop the question. You only teach him to take it somewhere else. You teach him that the church is a place where honest questions are not welcome. And so he carries his doubt out into the world, to a professor, to a stranger, to the internet, to anybody but you. So do the opposite. When your child brings you a doubt, thank God for it. A child who is asking is a child who is still standing close enough to ask. Sit down with him. Tell him you have wondered the same thing yourself. Tell him what you have found and where you are still searching, and that a faith worth having is a faith strong enough to be questioned. For the doubt is not the enemy of faith. The doubt that is welcomed and walked through becomes the very root that holds a grown man steady when the storms come. It is the doubt that is shamed and buried that rots the whole tree from underneath. Now let me give you the next thing, and it may be the heart of everything I have to say. Your children will not stay for a list of rules. They will only stay for a person. There are homes, good homes, well-meaning homes, where the whole of the faith gets handed down as a long list of no's. No, you cannot do this. No, you cannot wear that. No, you cannot go there. And I understand it, for a parent is trying to guard a child from a world that means him harm. But if all your child ever tastes of the faith is the fence and never the field it is guarding, if he knows the rules by heart but never once feels the love of God that the rules were only ever meant to protect, then the day he is strong enough to climb that fence, he will climb it and never look back. And who could blame him? He was only ever given a cage. Nobody ever showed him the garden. So show him the garden. Long before you teach a child what a Christian must not do, let him taste and see that the Lord is good. Let the faith in your home be warm before it is ever strict. Let there be laughter in it, and singing, and good food, and forgiveness. Let your child know down in his bones that he is loved by God and loved by you, not because he kept the rules, but simply because he is yours. For a child who is bound to Christ by love will keep the commandments as the natural fruit of that love. But a child who is only bound by rules, with no love underneath, is bound by a rope he is already working to untie. And here I must give you a word that is harder for a loving parent than almost any other. So let me say it gentle. There will come a day when your child's faith must stop being yours and start being his own. For a long while, when they are small, the faith they have is a borrowed faith. It is your faith, wrapped around them like a warm coat you put on them each morning. And that is right and good. That is exactly how it should be for a little one. But a coat you put on a child is a coat that same child can take off the moment he is grown. And there comes a season, usually somewhere in those tender years between boy and man, when a child must decide whether the faith he was handed is going to become truly his chosen, owned, planted in his own heart, or whether it stays forever just a thing his parents believed. Now, most parents, out of love and out of fear, try to grip harder in that season. They clamp down. They tighten every rule. And beloved, I understand the fear that drives it, but it is exactly the wrong move, and I have watched it break the very thing it was trying to save. For faith is a strange and living thing. The tighter you squeeze it into a young man's hand, the more it slips through his fingers. What that season needs is not a tighter grip. It needs a little room to wrestle, room to ask the hard thing out loud, room, even, to step back a pace and look at the whole of it with his own two eyes and decide. It takes a great and trembling faith in God for a parent to give a child that room. But you must, for a faith that a young person has weighed and tested and chosen for himself will hold him for the rest of his life. And a faith that was only ever forced on him from the outside will fall off him the first cold morning he decides not to wear the coat. So, love them enough to loosen your grip at the right hour. Do not drive, invite, do not force. Woo! The God who made them does not force a single soul, but stands at the door and knocks, and neither, then, should we. And that brings me to a hard and holy word about your own house. Beloved, the fastest way to lose a child from the faith is for that child to see one thing at church and a different thing at home. When a father stands and sings of the love of God on Sunday morning and comes home Sunday afternoon and rules his house with a cold heart and a heavy hand, the child sees it. When a mother speaks of grace and forgiveness and cannot find a drop of either for her own children, the child sees it. Children are not fooled, not ever. They are the finest hypocrisy detectors God ever made. And nothing drives a young soul out of the church faster than watching the people who taught them the faith fail to live it inside their own four walls. So let your home be the first church your children ever know. Not a perfect church, there is no such thing, but an honest one. When you are wrong, tell them you are wrong. When you lose your temper, go back and ask your child to forgive you. Oh, I know that is hard. I know a parent's pride rises up against it. But hear me. The day my own son watched me kneel down and ask his forgiveness for speaking to him in anger, that day preached a louder sermon on the gospel than 1,000 of my Sunday mornings. For in that moment he saw the whole gospel in miniature. He saw that grown men fall. He saw that there is a way back. He saw that love is stronger than pride. And a child who learns forgiveness at his father's table will not find it hard to believe in it at his father's throne. Now let me tell you of the table itself, for I have not said enough about it. There is a power in the family that eats together and prays together that the modern world has all but thrown away. We are so busy now, the children go one way and the parents go another, and everyone eats standing up, staring at a little glowing screen, and the days pile up into years, and no one has looked another soul in the eye. Do not let it be so in your house. Gather them. However you can, whenever you can, gather your children around a table. Break bread. Give thanks out loud. Read a few verses, even just a few. Sing, even if you cannot sing well, but the God of heaven is not grading your pitch. Let there be one place and one time in the week where the whole family turns its face toward God together. It need not be long. It need not be fancy. But let it be faithful. For those small, gathered moments, repeated over the years, become the deep soil a child's faith grows its roots down into. And roots that go down deep do not blow over in the wind. Now I want to speak to you about who else stands around your child, because you cannot do this alone, and God never meant for you to. A child raised in the faith by only his own two parents, with no other believing soul in his life, is a child raised on a lonely island. And when he grows and the doubts come, he has no one to turn to but you, and there is an age, every parent knows it, when a child will not hear a hard truth from his own mother or father, no matter how true it is. So this is the wisdom. Surround your child, from the time he is small, with other believers who love him, an aunt who prays for him, an old deacon who knows his name, a youth leader, a Sunday school teacher, a family friend of deep faith. Build around your child a whole company of people who love God and love him. Then, when the season comes that he will not hear it from you, there is an aunt, a mentor, a friend, whose voice he will still receive. Many a child who would not listen to his own father was brought home by the steady love of someone his father had wisely placed in his life years before. The church is not a building, beloved. It is a family. And a child, wrapped in that family from his earliest days, has 100 cords holding him, not just 2. And now we come to the deepest work of all, and it is the one that is done on your knees. You must pray for your children, not the quick word over supper. I mean the real, wrestling, laboring prayer of a parent who will not let go. Pray for them by name. Pray for them when they are sleeping, standing over their beds in the dark. Pray for the children they have not yet met, and the temptations they have not yet faced, and the faith you long to see them carry into old age. For here is a truth I have staked my whole life on. There is a limit to what a parent's hand can do, but there is no limit to what a parent's prayers can reach. Your hand cannot follow your grown child out into the wide world, but your prayers can go where your hands never will. I have seen prayed for children wander far. So far it broke their mothers' hearts, and I have seen them come home. The praying was never wasted, not one word of it. It was going ahead of them the whole time, in the dark, preparing a road home they could not yet see. And let me hand you one secret the old praying saints knew, worth more than silver. When you do not know how to pray for a child, pray the word itself over them. Take the very promises of God and speak them out, one by one, over that sleeping head in the dark. For then you are not praying your own small and trembling hopes, you are praying God's own words back to Him, and He has never once failed to honor His own word. That, beloved, is a prayer that cannot miss. Now, before I come to the last thing, let me lay one more truth in your hands, and it is the truth of the long haul, for I fear this generation has near lost the patience for it. Beloved, this raising of a faithful child is slow work. It is the slowest work there is. You will plant seeds for years and see nothing above the ground, and you will be tempted to give up, to decide it is not taking, that your child is a lost cause. Do not believe it. A farmer does not dig up his seed every week to see if it is growing. He would kill it if he did. He trusts the slow, hidden work under the soil, and he keeps watering, and he waits. So must you. Half of what you pour into a child in his young years will not show its fruit until he is grown and gone, and standing in a hard place of his own, and suddenly reaching back for something you gave him 20 years before that you thought he never even heard. I have seen it again and again. The word you thought fell on deaf ears was not lost. It went down into the deep ground of the heart, and it waited, and it came up in its own season. And this slow work asks one thing of you above all others, and it is the plainest thing of all that you simply keep showing up. Be there. Be there on the ordinary Tuesdays when nothing is happening. Be there for the game and the recital and the long, boring drive when the deep conversation finally, unexpectedly, comes. So much of what holds a child to the faith is not the grand talk, but the steady presence of a parent who was simply there, year after year, dependable as the sunrise, living the same faith on the dull days as on the high holy ones. Children do not remember many of our speeches, but they remember whether we were there. They remember whether the God we preached made us into people who showed up. Consistency, beloved, is its own kind of sermon, and it is one you preach with your whole life, without ever saying a word, which brings me to the last and hardest thing. And I say it for the parent whose child is already gone. Maybe you did all of this. Maybe you did none of it, and you are only learning now. And still, your child has walked away. Hear me, and hear me tender. It is not over. It is not over. Do you remember the story the Lord told of the boy who took his inheritance and went off to a far country and wasted the whole of it? Do you remember what the father did? He did not chase him down and drag him home by the collar. And he did not slam the door and write the boy off as lost. No, he watched the road. Every single day, he watched that road. And the day that boy came dragging himself home, ragged and ashamed, the Bible says his father saw him while he was yet a great way off, and that means the old man was still looking. He never stopped looking down that road, and he ran to him. So if your child has gone, do not chase, and do not slam the door. Watch the road. Keep the porch light burning. Let your child always, always know that the way home is open, that the love is unchanged, that no wandering has spent it. Do not nag them back. You will only push them further. Love them back. Stay in their life. Be the steady, warm, unshaming presence that a weary soul remembers on the day it grows tired of the far country. For the far country always grows tiring in the end. And when it does, let the thing your child remembers be your love, and not your lectures. Many a prodigal has found the road home simply because he could not forget that someone was still at the end of it, watching, with the light on. So let me gather it all up for you now, the way an old man does before he lets you go. Whether your children keep the faith is shaped in the small things. In a faith they watch you truly live and not merely perform. In questions you welcome instead of shame. In a love you show them before ever you show them a rule. In a home that lives on Monday what it sang on Sunday. In a table you gather them around. in a whole family of believers you surround them with, in the prayers you labor over them in the dark, and in a door you keep open and a road you keep watching, for as long as it takes. None of it is grand, all of it is daily, and all of it is within your reach, starting tonight. Now, I want to hear from you, and I mean that. Tell me down in the comments, how did the faith get handed down in your family? Who was it that kept the light on for you? And what part of the country, what corner of this world are you writing from? For I do love to see where these words are landing. I read every one that I can. And come back and sit with me next time, for I want to tell you something just as close to my heart, how to keep a marriage tender and whole across a long lifetime, the way the old couples did, who stayed together 50 years and more, and still reached for one another's hand. For a child learns the most about love, not from what his parents tell him, but from watching the way they love each other. Raising a child who keeps the faith is not the work of one great moment. It is the work of 10,000 small ones, done in love, over years, most of them unseen. The old saints knew that. They did not raise their children with fear or with force, but with a living faith and an open door and a great deal of patient prayer. And their children rose up and called them blessed, and carried the light on to their own children after them. That is the inheritance worth leaving. Not money, not land. A living faith, handed down warm from one loving hand to the next. May God grant you the grace to hand it down. And may your children and your children's children rise up one day and call you blessed. Go now and raise them up well. Grace be with you and with the little ones who bear your name after you.